It's 10 a.m. You are staring at the ceiling. Your phone says you should be asleep. Your body disagrees. You start to panic a little. Something must be wrong with you. But the real answer is far stranger. For most of human history, waking up in the middle of the night wasn't a disorder. It was the plan. Your brain runs on a rhythm older than clocks, older than electricity, older than the idea of bedtime itself. That rhythm doesn't care about your alarm. It cares about darkness. And for thousands of years, darkness didn't mean one long block of unconsciousness. It meant something else entirely. Historian A. Roger Ekirch spent years digging through old court records, diaries, and medical texts from pre-industrial Europe. He wasn't looking for sleep patterns. He stumbled onto them by accident. Over and over, he found casual references to first sleep and second sleep. Not naps, not insomnia. Two distinct expected phases of nighttime rest, with a waking period in between. Picture it. The sun sets. There's no light bulb to fight it. A family eats, talks, maybe prays, and drifts off a couple hours after dark. That's the first sleep. Then, sometime around midnight, they wake up. Not in a panic. Not checking a phone. They simply wake up. This middle-of-the-night window had a name too. Some records call it the watch. People used it to pray, to talk quietly in bed, to process a dream they'd just had, while it was still fresh enough to make sense of. Some got up and tended the fire. Married couples reportedly favored this hour for it, since everyone else in the house was still in first sleep. Then, after an hour or so of quiet wakefulness, second sleep would come. That lasted until dawn. 2 sleeps, one dark, quiet gap in between. For most of pre-industrial history, that gap wasn't a glitch. It was just Tuesday night. So what happened to it? Light happened. Cheap, artificial, endless light. Historian Craig Kozlowski has written about how nighttime itself changed meaning once cities began lighting their streets in the 1600s and 1700s. Darkness stopped being something you simply endured. It became something you could push back. And once you could push back the dark, you could push back sleep too. Bedtimes got later. The 2 sleeps got squeezed. Eventually, they merged into the single block we now treat as normal. Then came the industrial world, and with it, the clock-punching schedule. Factories didn't care about your first sleep or your second sleep. They cared about shifts. Sleep stopped being something your body negotiated with the night. It became something you owed to a schedule, in one uninterrupted chunk, or else you were doing it wrong. Here's the strange part. Your biology never got the memo. Sleep researcher Thomas Wehr ran an experiment in the 1990s that felt almost like time travel. He took a group of people and kept them in near total darkness for 14 hours a day. No artificial light stretching the evening. Nothing but the natural rhythm of dark and dim. No screens. No bedtime routine borrowed from a productivity book. Within weeks, without anyone telling them to, their sleep split in 2. First sleep, a quiet waking period. Second sleep, the exact pattern Ekirch had found. Bird and centuries-old diaries showed up again, spontaneously, in a lab, in people who had never read a word about segmented sleep in their lives. Their bodies remembered something their minds had never been taught. So when you wake up at 3 a.m. and your first thought is that something is broken, consider the possibility that nothing is broken at all. Consider that you might be doing something your ancestors did on ordinary nights for most of human history, and that modern light simply erased the second half of the instructions. That doesn't mean insomnia isn't real or that chronic sleeplessness shouldn't be taken seriously. Circadian researcher Charles Czeisler has spent decades showing how disruptive artificial light and irregular schedules are to your internal clock, and how much they contribute to the sleep struggles people genuinely suffer from today. Modern sleep problems are real, and often modern in origin. But an occasional calm waking in the middle of the night isn't automatically one of them. Sometimes it's just an old rhythm, resurfacing in a body that still remembers it, even in a world that forgot to leave room for it. Think about what that waking hour was actually used for, back when it was expected instead of feared. Quiet reflection, low-stakes conversation. The kind of unstructured mental space we now spend enormous amounts of money trying to recreate through meditation apps and journaling routines and slow mornings we never quite get around to. Your ancestors had that space built into an ordinary Tuesday night, for free, every single week of their lives. You have it too, if you stop treating it as a malfunction. Anthropologist Carol Worthman has studied sleep across dozens of modern hunter-gatherer and small-scale societies, from groups in Africa to South America, precisely because they offer a living window into sleep patterns closer to how humans lived before electric light reshaped the night. Her work, alongside sleep researcher Jerome Siegel's studies of pre-industrial communities, found something that should sound familiar by now. These groups don't sleep in one rigid block either. Their nights are looser, more responsive to darkness and temperature and the natural rhythms of the body than the 8-hour brick we've been taught to chase. None of this means you should throw out your alarm clock or abandon a consistent sleep schedule, which genuinely does help most people function well in a world built around fixed hours. But it does mean the panic, the specific 3 a.m. spiral where you start doing math about how many hours you have left and dreading the next day, might be aimed at the wrong target. You're not necessarily broken. You might just be running software your environment stopped supporting 200 years ago. Next time you wake in the dark and the house is silent and your mind is unexpectedly, quietly awake, try something different. Don't reach for the phone. Don't start calculating lost hours. Just stay there for a minute. Let your thoughts move slowly. Notice what drifts through your head in that gap. You're not failing at sleep. You might be having your first sleep, and somewhere in the dark, your second one is still waiting. So the next time it's 3 a.m. and you're lying there and your phone insists you should be unconscious, remember this. Your body isn't malfunctioning. It's remembering something the modern world forgot to tell you it was allowed to do.